Well, it's Tuesday. This is Trekland, and we are live. How about a simple AMA, Star Trek? Let's ask me anything. Today on Trekland Tuesdays, number 381. Boom. Yes, with me, Dr. Trek, Larry Nemecek, coming at you here from the heart of Trekland through Portal 47 and, of course, Trekland Treks, your customized OA mission here in Greater Southern California for famous or maybe not famous location sites used for Star Trek when they shot in Southern California from the 60s to today's Picard. Hey, all concierge and pre-planned with you by me. Get in touch with me at larrynemecek.com or treklandtreks.com. Here we are. It's a crazy Tuesday and a crazy holiday season. I read something the other day that said there are 42 different holidays at the end of the year around the world. So, Merry Christmas if you are of that persuasion, and Happy Hanukkah if you're that way. And if you're looking forward to Kwanzaa, sure thing. And any more that I'm missing, that I'm leaving out, some of the random Bajoran and Klingon and probably Rycian too. Good to see everybody again. And look, if you are stumbling in, wondering how you got here, I am going to say welcome anyway. Welcome to Trekland Tuesdays Live. We're here every Tuesday or some other Tuesdays sometimes. And we are at this time of day because we get around the world. We've got a great global community here on Trekland Tuesdays Live. Normally, I'm here with a topic or a theme. Occasionally, we have a guest and we throw the theme format out the window and we just geek out with a great guest who's involved in some kind of Star Trek. Authors, promoters, sometimes even producers and writers. Occasionally, we have actors, especially when they've got a book to get out there. All kinds of things. But today, well, a couple of things. I'm taking the week off next week on Christmas Eve. So no TTL for next week. And then the week after that, I thought about going on New Year's Eve, but I thought, no, better save that, keep that open. We're going to be on Monday. So the last week of the year on December 30th, we're going to be Trekland Monday live. And we'll be letting everybody know about that too. So this is our last Tuesday of the year. So happy holidays, everybody. Season's greetings and all of that. And I thought we'd, I talked about Lower Decks last week and Section 31. I haven't seen any big paradigm shifting news stories in Trek anyway, the last week or so or right now. So I scratched my brain hoping to explain all the things Trek means to me. Boom, by Mir Bistuchet. No, I thought rather than scrape up a topic or something, let's just do an end of the year AMA. Now, the Monday, the 30th show is going to be a little bit of a review. Plus, by then, the Lower Decks finale will be out and people can react to that. There may be even more news about Section 31 coming up or about Trek news in general at the end of the year. So that's what Monday the 30th is going to be, everybody. Okay, so I hope you can join me then. Hope some of your holiday, you may be off skiing somewhere or doing something awesome, hiking. But if you're in between your holiday travels, if your Christmas hump is over and you're waiting on whatever your blast is for New Year's Eve, or recovering from New Year's Day, wherever your football game is, that's what we'll be doing on Monday the 30th, just to get all the housekeeping out of the way. And yes, my portales tomorrow night's guest is going to be on time and on tap, and it's Jake Black, who was a content creator for Star Trek on the sales side the last few years and created a lot of things that are canon and canon adjacent. It's going to be interesting. Anyway, that's our guest this month in Portal 47. It is happening. It's early because I hate it when the big two, Christmas and New Year's, fall on a Wednesday, not just because that's Portal night, but because that messes your dynamic of which way you lean on doing things in and around the holidays, if you're of that persuasion. Oh, to be a kid again and get 2 weeks off for Christmas. That was great. But here we are today. And yes, fair warning, full disclosure. I actually, for once, watched my screener early. The finale for Lower Decks is great. It's great. It's awesome. I'm going to get into this in a minute. No spoilers. No spoilers, obviously. But I do need to say, if you're with us live today, that's awesome. If you are new, please let everybody know where you're coming from, unless you're a dedicated lurker, and that's fine. But if not, say hi and where you're from, and how's the weather, and how's the trek where you live. How's your gang? How's your bunch? How's your trek folks around you? And how's the weather and all that stuff. We're pretty chatty here in the opening minutes, and it's good to have a big community like this. I never thought about the community aspect when I started doing things online. Portal, this, everything. Second opinion. We're going to start ramping up the second opinion audience identity a little bit. It's starting to be like the Trek Files, where people watch it and enjoy it, but they don't know each other. I know we would grow a bigger community. So things happening in the new year. I have some big news to mention in a few weeks that's going to be boiling along in a good way, simmering along. And then some other maybe promotional aspects coming up. It's time for Trekland to grow a little bit. So today, in the middle of all that, and not talking about the finale of Lower Decks yet, I thought, let's just take a moment in the calm and do and ask me anything. All right? Now, look, if you're here with us live, just know that YouTube is the best place to be. And today, since I'm doing an AMA, I'm actively going to scan and see if anybody actually does a super chat question, which would be awesome. Here at the end of the year, I'd really appreciate that. But we're all small d democratic here. It's all good. But that's going to be the order for the day. YouTube is where you do that. YouTube and Twitch, for my 3 people on Twitch, are also where you see all the questions. If you're only on Facebook, you're only going to see Facebook questions. And hey, if you're watching us later on YouTube right now, that's awesome. Maybe you can join us for a live afternoon Tuesdays at 1-ish Pacific, 4-ish Eastern. Also 9-ish UK time and 10-ish Central Europe. Join us there, but you know what? You can still leave a comment. Please do. Please do. And today's going to be a random one-off day, so it'll be random one-off subjects. You don't know what'll come up. So we're all prepped there. I'm going to say one thing about the Lower Decks that occurred to me just about 20 minutes ago. We've all watched finales of different stripes on across the Star Trek series over the years, right? And we've even seen last shows that had nothing to do with finales because it wasn't the style of the time. Looking at you, poor TOS. But then you got 6 movies and a sliver and eternal legacy characters called back to. So it occurred to me a few minutes ago that I would say, I saw a fan this week say, gosh, I hope Lower Decks goes out with a bang and doesn't try to emulate something like the Picard poker game, which they returned back in. The Next Generation final poker game, and then they emulated that as their own kind of internal homage to end Picard with, and that was awesome, and that was fine. And then I would say there's some like Voyager that didn't really have the baby's born and the grandfather looks confused, and I just thought Voyager's finale was not very satisfying. Anyway, I would going to say that the Lower Decks finale ends. If I had to think about all the shows, Discovery had a very definite feeling to its finale. The finale may have been one of the best parts of the entire Discovery series. But I'm going to say that the finale of Lower Decks, and maybe not not in a big way, nothing like neon lights flashing, but if I think about the vibe and the tone and just a little bit of the construction, it feels more like a DS9 type finale. Just to say, that's not spoiling anything. And I'm not talking about characters. I'm talking about the way the finale is constructed. And if you step back and look at the meta view, the 50,000-foot view of what you would consider the real finales that were built to be a finale, TNG, Voyager, DS9, it's not poor Enterprise. a 2-hour finale. Although the finale of Lower Decks is your standard half-hour-ish. So anyway, that's my 2 cents. Of course, it'll be out tomorrow night for everybody, early midnight, which I think they're getting it out midnight Eastern. Somebody said I'd been expecting it like at 10:30, 11 the last few years, but it may be earlier. So you all are ahead of that than me. I just wait till about 11:30 and watch it because the screener's sound is crappy and the captions aren't there. So that's that. That's this one. But let's dive in and see what everybody's got to say. I mean, the penultimate. If you haven't seen Second Opinion yet, we just got it out yesterday. These last few have been slow moving because they're really complicated. But Scott and Kyle are doing an awesome job, and I hope you all go and take a look at it. They're only getting about 200 views a piece, but they're only like 20, 25 minutes long. But I guarantee you, and not like it's a contest, but I guarantee you there are some bits and pieces that I point out that occurred to me. It's all just how I react. And occasionally I'll react to the way the world is reacting. But this is mainly mine, and I'm tickled when I see, like Jorg, for example, pull something out that I did. But there's a couple things this last episode I haven't seen Jorg mention. So if you're a big Jorg follower, you should come over and watch Second Opinion. It's all about just rounding out, the more the merrier. And we're all unique individuals, and that's what Dr. Trek is. So I finally learned that it's not all old stories no one cares about. It's all something unique to bring. So as what we'll do today with the AMA and what we do here every week on Tuesdays. Hopefully it's, again, the bane of my existence is just piling on. The one thing I don't want to do in this world is just be same old when it comes to Trek. Well, or anything, I guess, but especially with Trek, because the internet makes it so easy, and the socials makes it so easy for you to see the same damn thing repeated 50 times. And we've pulled back a little bit from that. I mean, much less the misinformation or just wrong tangents, or people just sometimes even with good intentions, just saying wrong facts. And it's like, not quite there. I'm also smart enough, I hope, not to yak about something that I don't know. And in that case, if nothing else, I try to track the person. And if it's not somebody I've known for 30 years, then hopefully we're meeting all the new folks who are cranking out all the new Treks. Because I hope that we are way over this thing about everything is just a blanket new Trek is horrible. No, there's enough of it out there that we can rank the lesser to the greater, or the greater the lesser, and the middling, and how nothing is a monolith, right? Everything has its good days and its bad days. So it's what it is. We're past the days of everybody making fun of DS9 and Voyager, apparently. So, all in good time, my dear, all in good time. So I just look up here. I haven't backtracked yet, and Sean. I just look up and I see Sean here with the €2. Are you asking me, Sean? Or are you asking the room? What is the shuttle name in the episode Final Mission? I bet you mean the Next Generation episode Final Mission. Okay. I'm going to go back to the beginning and we'll re-scroll. So I hope this is not disappointing everybody not to have a topic today, much less a guest. But I'm just shouting out that it is so good to see everybody. You, Christoph, awesome, and Dr. Dave, and yes, Tobias, and Carl, and May, and just everybody here. It's kind of an end of the year holiday feeling here. Hey, Dave. Wait, what? Why is I keep meaning to turn this Nightbot thing off before it takes over. What? The Nightbot says, "What are you on about? Stop spamming emotes." No, ignore that. You're just emoji. That's ridiculous. Oh, okay, Sean. Thank you here for the mention. Very funny. Well, Christoph, funny you should mention that. Stay tuned for some Con of Wrath news in the next couple of months, I think. And that's all I'll say. Carl, thank you very much. The big things, little things in Second Opinion. It's like the Easter egg videos sent out by other producers. Yeah, and I hate, in the old days, Carl, before we had the word canon, and we talked about, well, we didn't say canon, but we talked about continuity. And we didn't call things Easter eggs, because to me, you know what an Easter egg is? An Easter egg, sure, it's hidden, but then you crack it open and it's gone. To me, an Easter egg is like, you found it, now stick it in your basket and stick it away. But, and aside from, you know, just non-sectarian, Easter eggs are hidden and you find them. Sometimes it's not hidden. It's part of the story. It's right there in plain sight. It's not meant to be an Easter egg. It's not meant to be, you know, the hidden picture puzzles from highlights back in the day. Well, they're still the day. So yeah, and sometimes, you know, it's not a visual. Sometimes it's a concept. So concepts can't be Easter eggs, can they? I mean, heaven forbid, you know, the collectors, was not the Barzans, the Zabalians, that collector show where people went on for 4 weeks finding new stuff in the background. It was insane on lower decks. With the 50-foot Spock on down. So yeah, sometimes it's just a conceptual thing. It's not a visual. So yeah. And then when I first started Second Opinion, I didn't sit around with a clever concept. Like when Ollie and I did Life Support Live, you know, we had all the little conceptual names for the different chapters of the show, the sections of the show. And Second Opinion, I got to say, was Scott's concept. Because I was, back in the day, I was like, I have no time to do a show review show and do all the, you know, all the graph. I mean, I could do it, but I get nothing else done in the damn week. And my hat is off to those who do all that stuff by themselves. But in this case, I have a team. Kyle and Scott put those together, and we started. After a while, I felt bad about it. They were putting in so much work, and so I said, like, can we do credits? Yes. So every Second Opinion has them credit at the end, as it should be, because they do awesome stuff. And I don't make it so long that it goes on forever, but I feel like I have a specific point of view and specific personality, and there's enough stuff out there, and everybody else is sharing theirs. I want to do mine too. But one thing I didn't do was sit around and, you know, focus group and concept all these clever names. So yeah, so the sections of Section 31 are just questions and the cast and characters and favorite lines. And yeah, I guess the most unique thing is big things, little things. So everything is either a big thing or a little thing. Sometimes we push the definition either way, but thank you, Carl, for noticing. Thank you for watching. And everybody, see what you're missing? See what you're missing. Yeah, but it's because everything isn't a visual. Oh, John X. Wow, John. Okay. Here's where I want to say, you haven't watched Lower Decks in 3 or 4 weeks, but it's the first week. How did you like just stop watching in the middle of the season? I mean, they were standalone, but they've definitely built here to the end the last 2 or 3 weeks. You've seen everybody. Are you totally spoiled for it? Especially like last week's? Because that's what I talked about on Tuesday. Legacy character. No, in Second Opinion. Are you spoiled for it or what? We'll see. But I hope. The other thing, I'm curious about where you are that you're seeing them talk about it now, where they weren't talking about it before, or are you just talking about a whole pastiche of places? It's a blur to you. I'm curious. And I'm always glad when you're here too, John. Sean, I don't know whether to answer this, or are you asking? I know, but are you asking the room? Which I guess I'll wait and see what happens down low here. Boy, everybody's, you know, once or twice I've done an AMA and people go, he's not talking about anything. And the AMA, there's like 5 people in the crowd. So thank you, everybody, TTLers, for being here today. Zahir, what would I like to know about you? You know what? I know you probably mentioned it back because you came to me through Ali, through Life Support Live. But I have lost track of what it is. What's your day job? Is it a psychologist like him? Or is it something else? I'm vague, I'm fuzzy. And so now I'm just going to take the show. I could go stalk you through socials, but I'm just going to say up front, that's what I'm doing. I'm trying to remember what your day job is. Because I know one of your hobbies is Star Trek office. Or do we still say hobbies? Hobbies is such a quaint pre-hip word. When I was a kid, we didn't say we geeked out. We didn't say we were nerds and geeks. Well, geek and nerd were pejoratives, right? Before, once people even heard the words. But we used to say we had hobbies. I have lots of hobbies and interests. And some of them were like old school hobbies, like stamp collecting and model railroading. But, like model building and all that kind of thing. Chemistry set fooling arounding things. Now, what are you saying? Oh, so you're continuing. So what you're saying, John, is you haven't watched it in 3 or 4 weeks, but you've heard people talking about it. So it must have had a few surprises. You could say that. Oh, here we go. If I could ghostwrite or direct any new Trek series, what would I have taken it? Would I have taken it a different direction? You talking about the existing series that we know about, not my own idea for new series? Because those I have. I've shared 2 or 3 of them. Excuse me, we're live. If I could ghostwrite or direct any new Trek series, would I have taken? You mean like if I could now sit back and go back and retcon something that's been out? Well, if Discovery was going to be 10 years before Kirk and Spock, it would have looked like it. And if it wanted to have wacky doodle magical programmable matter, then I would have said put it in the 32nd century. That would have been a huge challenge to jump ahead that much time. Even if you could fill in events, even if you had the burn and you had reasons for why things are that way, just the everyday, the thing that Gene invented for the original series, just the everyday look and feel and how things worked. That's Transporter. That we have computers doing stuff. Oh, look, I have native costumes. Oh, look, I have food through a slot. It all gets tied down later, but in the 60s, it was all kind of, but they were inventing an awful lot of stuff. That's what I would have done with Discovery if it wanted to jump to 32nd century. Strange New Worlds, I would have had it be the Captain April show and gone back even further, and then maybe ended the show leading into Pike and have Pike be the end point rather than having it be, because I said for a long time I wanted to have a captain. I wanted a show in that era. I wanted the mid 2200s. And Pike is so close to the Kirk times that, that's apparently the idea, but I would have pushed it back and explored more characters, more earlier days with different planets and cultures, but further back. And I would have tried to explore, the mode of the speed and the degree of technology at that time, a little further, 10 years before we started. It's like Kirk is the 60s, Pike is the 50s, and April would have been the 40s of the 2240s, 50s, and 60s. That's what I would have done. And if I was going to do Pike, I would have slowed things down and stayed with Pike and not race to Kirk and Spock. But that's me. I would have had it find the way to look a little more like the 60s or clunk it up. And I would have stayed and I would have sat and simmered with those characters before I raced to the mana finish line. What else we got? Oh, Picard. Oh, well. See, Picard's hard because if Patrick is driving, if you had to not do TNG stuff with Patrick, and then you got to turn, and thankfully it's Terry that's standing there to do that. That's fine. I don't know what I would have done with Picard if the idea of the show was the Loganization of Picard, which is what it was. How about that for an answer? Hey, Melanie, cool and rainy in Modesto. Well, good. Well, good. Yeah, I'm not going to talk about Modesto in the finale. Yes, Carl. Mike McMahon said before the season started that they were working on the last couple of episodes when they knew they were canceled. And I'll say canceled. I'm not going to say before they knew it would be their final season. Before they knew they were canceled, they were working on 8, 9, 10, still wrapping them up. And Ben Rogers told me last week when he came in and did Steve Stevens again, even though he'd left the show as a producer writer, he came back and actually voiced Steve Stevens one more time 3 weeks ago, with the spheres and the cubes. And he said that he recorded in August, and he thinks he was the last recording day batch of people coming by to record. And that was August. And so they were still working, but they announced it publicly. I think I looked in March or April. So they've been working on the season, producing it, and they probably knew writing wise or in time to react. So yes, it's very definitely, I'm going to say that it feels more like a DS9 finale than a TNG finale. Just saying. Oh, well, John, you're just full of them. What are my plans for the Trek cruise? Not to drown. No, they have, over here's my, I was looking at it again the other day. Over here somewhere is my, is it here? Yeah, here it is. Here's the first page of my ECP contract, and I was just refreshing. No, I get to do, I get to present, I get to host, and I get to moderate interview through the week. So looking forward to that. And we haven't finalized it yet, but I know that I have some moderating, some hosting, and some, moderating is sit back and it's their show. Hosting is you're doing stuff with them or fans, and then presenting. So all my normal con things we're doing. And maybe a couple surprises beyond that. So we'll see. We'll see. Oh, May. Hi. Good to see you, May. How long have I been volunteering at Will Rogers State Park, and which Sundays are you there? I can tell you exactly. I wanted to. We were too far away from the memorial in Oklahoma. I was 2 hours away growing up and where I basically lived. So that was too far to do anything on a regular basis once I finally got to see. So it was always like a vacation thing. But moving out here, depending on the day, like Sunday morning, I could get out to his ranch and his ranch house and the grounds, which is a historic state park. But most people who are there are hiking because it's attached to Topanga Canyon and the Backbone Trail, and you're only a mile from you're in Santa Monica and the Palisades, and then it goes down to the beach. But I tried to go out and be a volunteer, and the 90s were kind of chaotic in state parks in general in California and at Will Rogers. And there was a lot of upheaval, generational upheaval, because the generation that came along that knew Will and knew Betty and the kids and was there, and their kids, that was all dying off, and there was a generational change, and other powers and forces were coming in. And anyway, the foundation was started there. Not to get off on this, to answer your question, after asking and getting no answers, suddenly they were asking for docents in 2002, and Janet found it in the paper, and she was like, "Oh, look, they need docents at Will Rogers." Gosh, what a concept. Like, I'd only been by there 3 or 4 times, leaving messages, trying to find someone to talk to. So since 2002, including our shutdown for 3 years right after that. And then we reopened in 2006 after a lot of refurbishment. And I've been pretty much 2 Sundays a month since then. A couple of times I had to take off a few months to go do life things. And then this year has felt like even more because of the move. And now I'm an hour and a half away. But I still plan days and I'm still getting settled. We're not having I got to finish this wall over the holidays so we can put the shelves up so we can finish unpacking in here and get into things. So I've got empty shelves sitting here in front of me. And that's why that is behind me now until the wall's painted. So I'm finished and then paintable and then painted. So right now, May, it's hard for me to say. I used to say, I would have 2 Sundays a month, and they weren't like the first and third Sundays. So maybe, and a lot of times I'm bad about this. I'm bad about saying, I'm out here today at 10 o'clock. I say, I'm out here till 1. So one of my New Year's resolutions is when I'm at the park to say it ahead of time. I just feel like on my Trek channels, no one cares about Will, but I'm going to make an effort to try to promote and publicize the Sunday mornings or other days when I'm out. And of course, we have at least 3 special events a year, including Family Day and Will's birthday, where we have all kinds of fun stuff going on that are special days. So there's a question for you. An answer for you. Oh, Sean, you were asking me. No, I wish I had the photo called up here. The shuttle was named, the alien shuttle was named the Nineveh because Jerry Taylor hated coming up with alien names. It was her script, and she was looking around her desk, and I had barely known her a year, but she had the TNG, not the companion. She had my concordances, annual encyclopedia concordances on her desk, and she just took the M and made it an N and the C and made it a B. And that's where the Nineveh came from. So did I win? I guess I won your €2. Hey, Mona, glad you could join us all the way. And there you go. Nineveh, 1 letter away from the Romulan Nineveh. Exactly. Wait, there was okay, wait a minute. Wait. There is no Nineveh. Now there's Nevek, who is the Praetor in Unification, right? But there is no Nineveh that Memory Alpha has track of. I just double checked. You got me going. I just wanted to see. Wanda. Hey, Wanda. Good to have you in with us, too. What do I think of the chances of a Lower Decks movie? Okay. I have no inside knowledge here about anything. But I'm trying to read tea leaves, I'm trying to read emotions, and I'm trying to read trends. And there's several things going on here. Number one, whatever anybody who's in charge, forget Mike, forget Alex, okay? Go above their pay grades. Whoever is calling shots at Paramount right now, Paramount/CBS, could very well not be doing that a year from now, okay? And wherever you are in the upper hierarchy, there may be plans for Star Trek, but there may not be, or there may be concepts of plans. But even beyond that, what is media world going to keep settling into in the next year? And then on top of that, what is the economy going to do? Are we going to have tariff inflation and people can't afford to take vacations? People can't afford to have more disposable income. If eggs go up another $1, that might just break people. But predicting all those interlocking layers right now, it's like, who knows? And so, if people have disposable money or not, then I don't know if the streaming channels don't coalesce and retrench, and they all keep going up on their fees, and people start really making hard choices about what they're dropping and not dropping, and streaming within 10 years looks like cable again. I'm so pissed at AT&T Direct. It's 2.5 times what it was when we started. When we first went to streaming, I went with DirecTV instead of not Slink. What's it called? But because of a $5 difference, $40 versus $45 a month, and now my $40 has climbed steadily after AT&T bought it. AT&T is AT&T if I have direct link or direct link, a direct TV, and now that $40 a month is just went up to $109. Yeah, I mean it's been incremental. 40 to 50, 50 to 60, 60 to 70, 70 to 80, 80 to 85, 85 to 90, 99, and then 106. All just in the last 6 years. It's 2.5 times, 250% it, or 260 maybe even. So, a Lower Decks movie, part of it depends on the economics and what the forecast is. And if somebody says, we want to do one-off movies of our existing projects, what's the easiest thing to do? It might be Lower Decks. Heaven knows you can do legacy characters because it doesn't matter what shape anyone is in, and I don't mean physical shape. I also mean like stamina. Like, are you coming in to do a live action one-day guest spot? Are you going to be on a view screen? Are you going to be really involved in the story of the action? Because your character lives 300 years, even if you don't. That kind of thing. But having said that, if there's any property that gets pulled for a movie, a quickie movie, Lower Decks is in there. If poor Prodigy ever got the chance, the time of day, to get into rotation so that kids that watch things over and over again get the chance to watch those 40 episodes of Prodigy over and over and over again, if they ever get the chance for it to really soak in and be absorbed by the kids at large, Brian, what's his name, 3 years ago in a totally different landscape said, oh yeah, we should do an animated Prodigy like we do an animated SpongeBob. Well, that was 19 vibes ago. And before the Ellison, before the Skydance buyout or merger, whatever. So I think there's good chances. It just depends on what's the chances of a legacy show movie at all, or a recent series at all. You would think that animation, you could walk in and pick it up at any time. You don't have to explain the people looking older with live action. So it feels like good. And then, of course, the other bottom line is Alex and Mike are dancing around with this. I don't think we've seen the last of the adventures of Mariner and Boimler and the crew, or at least some of them. Maybe not exactly the way, changed up. What, John? You feel like Lower Decks is an episode of Fool Us, just trying to overwhelm you so you miss stuff. Yeah, but you can watch it 92 times. Well, you can say that. Is this written? Do we have proof? That's cool. I'm curious to know under what circumstances. Was this like you and your bar buddy, or did you write this out anywhere? I'm just curious, but yeah. Oh, John. Okay. I'm sorry to hear, but it sounds like everything was fine, and that's life interrupting, if not more. So good on you, and sounds like you're hale and hearty again. I was not Trek shaming there. View shaming? What do we call that? Hadn't found it to be a great season. I've seen people ragging on the last couple of seasons, and the Ferengi and the Orion shows, I was like, whoa. So I don't know. We're each our own, but generally people are generally enjoying Lower Decks. They think there's ups and downs. Maybe time will bring some more vision on that. Hey, talking about Trek. Opinion on WWE former world champion Becky Lynch joining Star Trek Starfleet Academy. I had no idea who she was, but then I don't follow fake sports, but then I know millions of people do. And I know there's, apart from whatever the surface attraction and level, and there's plenty of pro wrestling, I know within that industry, there's really scummy aspects and there's really good aspects. And, Dwayne Johnson comes out of it. And apparently from what I read, I guess Becky Lynch, what is that, her stage name or her real name? I forget. Apparently she's one of them too. People talk about her actually being a good actress and adding to, like, it sounds like she's like Dwayne The Rock, that she's smart enough to have these talents, and just instead of going like legit, like, I'm going to do theater and do it, she may catapult herself into some good platforms and good opportunities. She's just going to go this route rather than maybe some people go through comedy and stand-up comedy and improv and they get to a bigger stage. It's not just the old, I have my acting degree from and I did theater here, and then I was able to do some stuff in New York, and now I'm coming to LA to get on film. That's one thing with the diversification. Things have opened up that way, just as the way they have with writing or self-producing and doing your movie on your laptop and that kind of thing. So my first reaction was, they're not just going to hire anybody on Star Trek right now. So she must be good. It felt like it was not just for a one-off guest role that's going to be recurring at least. So I just felt like it, to me, that implied that she was up to the bar. And it also implied that they were being very smart, and they're trying to cross over and drag new eyeballs into Trek. And I don't care. That's always a good idea, no matter what it is. And I'm sure there's been a lot of research and R&D time, focus group time put in to that to some degree. So I'm excited for the eyeballs who may come over and get into Trek. I'm also feeling like she's not the typical WWE performer. So good on her. And she's obviously going to be able to do action. And if she has the ability to surprise people, like hiring Jerry Ryan, to fill out a cat suit. Oh my God, she's a good actress too. So that's it. But I did see that last night. I was catching up. Yeah, Mona, Star Trek is a philosophy. Absolutely. Within that philosophy, though, you might be a cosplayer, costumer, you might be a prop builder, you might be a CG artist, you might write, you might do you might do makeup and prosthetics. Lots of things. You might want to write and then do, choose your own adventure books or something, and then get that published. Sean, predictions for this week, next week. Rutherford's plasma shot fixes a thing. One of the Kims comes good to put things right. 9. Oh, the prime Kim who comes to help is a captain or admiral. Okay, good guesses. Hey, Jesse. Oh, no. Sick at home with a head cold, binging Enterprise, and on season 3, hope all is well. You mean with us or with Enterprise season 3? Because season 3 is the 9/11 year, the desperate to stay on the air, get ratings year. The plot goes better than the stay on with ratings, but there's a reprieve both ways, obviously. But thank you for chiming in. Hey, Melanie, you were offline for 2 weeks, so you quickly caught up on the 2 episodes of Lower Decks that you'd missed. Yeah, your computer soap opera, right? Hey, John X. Yes, what I just said. So we reach, brother. Yeah, but then I'm not gonna hear anything. The future tech you see progressing soon is 3D clothes printing. Yeah, replicator. Dr. McCoy, secure from ship stores, computers, 3 native costumes. Well, Mona, racing to the finish line in 5 years instead of 7. No, I think that's what Akiva wanted to do all along. For some reason, that's his fetish. Let's overlap and run into the beginning of the. It's like, how about we go to a part of time that we've never even seen before, or characters that we've never seen before. Although, if they flesh out Roger Corby and T'Pring and Spock, and if they have fun with all of that, okay, fine. But it's just like Star Trek to me was always this big universe that had so many corners unexplored. I get it, whether it's fanishness wanting to go redo Kirk Spock or redo Data Picard or even Janeway or DS, whether it's people that want to do that out of fanishness or it's just the bean counters in the suits who just think, well, that's where the money is, go back and get the money, rather than take the risk of exploring some new corners of the universe. But then that's what finally Discovery and now Academy are going to do. So, good on that. And they're exploring these formats, standalone versus arcs, different sizes of arcs, but also animation versus live action. So my thing is, are we going to get, after Lord X is gone, and if Prodigy is not, whatever happens to Prodigy, what's the future of Star Trek animation now that so many people get it and appreciate it, even as it goes into different forms? We'll see. So no, Mona, I think they're just racing along because some of it's the inhibiting factor of 5 versus 7, but I think that's where they always wanted to get to. Hey, Super Chat, €2. Larry, how did Max pretend to be bad at baseball? He switched to hands. I forget if he was left-handed, he batted and threw right-handed, or if he was right-handed, he batted and threw left-handed, I think, which was great for Rom. But thank you again for loading up the euros here on the True Chat. Hey, Jesse. The story of season 1 and 3 Picard could have been spread out among the 3 seasons. The story of 2 wasn't needed. Excuse me. And that's not an editorial comment. Yeah. I mean, it's one big giant reset button. There were some interesting things, but you get lost in now. Wait, is this future or is this past? Is this current? Is this the fascist future, or is it our today that didn't happen because we didn't change the fascist future? I mean, we get out of whack. So now there's this giant vortex that a renegade Borg queen is guarding, who was a former doctor at the yeah. Okay, but it certainly was confusing enough. It felt like it grew out of probably Sir Patrick saying, let's do some psychological examination of Picard, and the whole thing about his mother and all that. Why, thank you. I just happened to think of it myself. Hey, Ian, I know you've been by a few times. Do I think Star Trek Strange New Worlds could get a movie or 2? See, that's, again, at this point, obviously, people loved the show. It was demanded to be made. So there's a built-in audience. Now, unless as the years go by, I hear people go, a little bit about it, just what they've chosen to do with their arcs and all that. People still love Anson, and they still love that cast. And, people like Melissa and Christina, and I'm not going to mention everybody, but I mean, everybody. But I mean, they're going out there and being real definite personalities on the contrail and the contrail and the cruise. I'm looking forward to getting to know some of them closer. Christina works with, Melissa is real big into both real space and veterans issues. And she's carrying the torch for all the things of her former boyfriend, fiance, partner, who died tragically, just right after she got the role and partway into filming season 1. So, I mean, they're all emerging as their own personalities. Rebecca and Jerry, she's going to be the surviving first officer now. So we'll see what happens with that little family dynamic across their Instagrams. But of everybody that's out there currently, why not Strange New Worlds? That cast can carry a big screen. I mean, they've shown that between the animated crossover and the musical. Good Lord. Celia and Ethan. I mean, I'm leaving people out, right? But what's next? Well, you guys are doing a good AMA today. I've done this before, and it was like, and I did it on short notice too. So, speaking if I could have done things differently, a line from the cage talked about the time barrier being broken. Should that have been present in Enterprise? Well, that's one of those. Carl, you know this. You've been around the gate a little bit. That's one of those things we just kind of pretend like we didn't hear. Well, he said the time barrier. He meant the warp barrier. But over the years, like I think in the 70s and 80s, I'd see, background fans, all 8 or 10 of us, try to take a shot at this and explain what the time barrier was. But that's right. You could say that. I mean, the crassest thing is to say that that Tyler is so excited to see people, he misspeaks, and he should have said like the warp barrier instead of the time barrier. Like he just misspoke because he says, and then he's cut off when Vina walks out. Right? Hey, the time barrier's been broken. Why our new ships can dong? Yeah, you know the moment. Should that have been present in Enterprise? Whoops. You mean Enterprise as in 100 years earlier? I'm not sure what you mean there, because the cage is 100 years after Enterprise, if you mean Archer Enterprise. So, it's the time before. It's, if we'd had a Captain April show, maybe that could have been addressed. So the Captain April show should have started with the launching of the Constitution, the old Constitution class original, the clunkier one in 2245. And if they really wanted to be hyper canon, they could have had Scott come in and be 150-year-old Archer and attend the ceremony and then die overnight in his sleep. Why? Thank you, Melanie. I just happened to think of it. It's just what I do. Hey, Sean. No, actually, I didn't. Paul and Terry did the DS9 book. I was being sent before that was all decided. I was told I might be, and I got sent, early DS9 material so I could start working. It didn't go that way, but I wound up working on the fact files, which was much more lucrative than doing a licensed book and getting your little royalty up front and your 2% royalty fee because it's licensed. Funny, Sean. Yes, a group of teens take over a ship and go on adventures. What an original idea. Yeah, people have been talking about that part of it for the last few months. Like just before you guys get excited. Do they all get indoctrinated into the rebellion way? I don't know. Do they all get, brought in that way? You know what? You skeeted me on Blue Sky, and you said, if Kim could be evil and be the cause of the problem, I was mostly right. Oh, okay. See, okay. I wouldn't call that Kim evil. I just call him, hurt and manic. He's a wounded animal. His pride has been wounded. It was interesting, though, that the one of them that gets promoted is the one that takes it so weirdly. But he was the one that had ego to bruise, Captain, I guess. Hey, Ranger Donnie. Wigmore Hall raid. Is that something from Power Rangers? But how do you do with you? You just hope Becky Lynch doesn't end up being an O'Brien 900 years later. Um, how do you mean there? I know the O'Brien most famous person Starfleet checked. Are you saying that was nine? Oh, that's 900 years later. Okay, whatever. Oh, May, how sweet of you. Sure thing. Well, it's my pleasure, May. It's what I do. But thank you for the super chat. Yay. Okay. This is turning into a record today, guys. So happy holidays. Merry Christmas. Happy Hanukkah. Whatever season's greetings. What am I leaving out? Yes. Happy Festivus for the rest of us. Now, what here, Sean? You saw on Reddit Ireland, on the R being in Star Trek, and one person commented, she used to serve me coffee in the Swan Center. My office was 5 minutes from there. Maybe she served me coffee once. Are we talking about the wrestler? Because she was from somewhere. Guys, I'm sorry. But oh my gosh, she has an Irish accent. If she's Irish, that just adds something to it. Yeah. Oh, that's what the O'Brien stuff was about. Okay, I see. Maybe. Yeah, referring to Becky Lynch. Okay. She was Lieutenant Commander Leland T. Lynch, who was chief engineer for one moment on TNG early. Maybe he was descended from her. Hey, Jesse. You enjoyed season 2 of Enterprise. See, to me, it was getting real thin. However, First Flight was good. Regeneration was good. A lot of people at the time were mad about Regeneration because they thought it mangled the canon. And hey, Mike Simpson was working on that, and he was like doing all he could. Well, the whole team was, but I mean, they were doing all they could to trying to set up to be a tie-in and also set up first contact and have the one ship get away to do a signal. Season 3 is okay. Still figuring out this Xindi story. Still trying to figure out this Xindi story. Well, guess what, Jesse? So were they at the beginning. I don't know. Maybe it'll just go 3 or 4 episodes. Maybe half a season. How about the entire season? And spilling over, right? Wow, you shared an office with Sean Ferrick. Very good. Who's now the Johnny-come-lately superstar of all things YouTube. With a staff, I should say, with a staff behind. Yeah, and now his editor's becoming a star too. So there you go. There you go. I really think I want to go back and see if he started doing ups and downs after I started doing big things, little things on Second Opinion. Because I didn't, Second Opinion is just the last couple of years, but it's all good. It's all good. Maybe someday I'll get 2,000 subscribers. Good thing I'm not living and dying by that. Oh, you're actually going to review the episode of Picard tomorrow. Worst rated episode of Picard, but it has James Callis, who does not in any way remind me of Siddig El-Fadil. Yeah, is that the one that the whole thing takes place in the police chicken wire holding pen, or it's set on the Titan room? Yeah. Okay, Jesse, Crusher Convo, you do say that in Picard season 2, him dealing with his family issues was important. Could have done it slightly differently to mesh with your story of season 1 and 3. Just your opinion, of course. Yes. My gosh, Sean. Ding, ding. Thank you. And the question is, favorite Trek ep can split by shows if need be. Oh my God, Sean. How do you have a favorite Trek episode? I mean, I used to. Original series, it was Doomsday Machine and Journey to Babel, with several others right behind. But I love those two. TNG. I mean, the easy answer used to be Yesterday's Enterprise or Best of Both Worlds. I mean, people love The Inner Light, and it's amazingly acted and written and all that. But it was never. I never went gaga over it. But then I was background characters and adventure. the universe building stuff. Um, DS9. I mean, see, half the time I want to go with conventional thinking, Far Beyond the Stars or Pale Moonlight or Duet. I remember Duet being what yesterday's Enterprise was to me on TNG in the time watching them week to week. Yesterday's Enterprise happened, and I was like, oh my God, TNG finally exceeded the original series' movies. Like, I know it's an hour versus 2 hours, but they have done as much in 1 hour on their TV budget now as you had to used to get in a movie with that attention and time and money. And I just remember thinking that, and I know Measure the Man was a year before, although I didn't see it when it first ran. I was driving to Houston and not for the Con of Wrath. And I missed it. And I never saw, in fact, I kept calling it the wrong title. I kept calling it The Measure of the Man, and it's The Measure of a Man for years because of that. But for what that was to me, to TNG, Duet was for DS9. And that was first season. Duet went down, and I was blown away by the acting of both of them, by Harris Yulin, as well as Nana. But the whole concept, and it was like, oh my God, this is what DS9 can be. Holy shit. And it was just like a two-man stage play, most of the episode. Two-character stage play. But that was my early favorite, but I had many, many more. Voyager, oh, poor Voyager. I mean, one of the conventional wisdom choices is Year of Hell. The eternal reset button. It's just hard for me to have to pick a favorite Voyager. Obviously, these are better and these are not so better. You can do that for a while and maybe eventually eliminate down to one. But I'm going to pass on that. And Enterprise, poor Enterprise. I like First Flight. Nothing from the Xindi year. I love the trilogies at the end, but those are trilogies. So the doubles and the trilogies. So that's not a single episode. I mean, Babel and the Babel arc trilogy was when they finally started doing the show I thought it was going to be at the beginning, which was showing only a drip by drip, not cram, but that's what Manny said. I said, people are saying every episode here is an original series tie-in. And he said, I only had 20 slots. And then I lost 2 of those. So I only had 18 slots. And and just the idea that they had a big board and they had all these topics they wanted to get to was very cool. Manny was very politically conservative and worked on 24 and the torture and all that thing. But I totally wish he'd had more crack at Enterprise. They had another year or two and turn him loose. He had the absolute right on instincts. And it should have been what the show was all along. Discovery should have been in the future all along. Enterprise should have been Manny Koto run all along. Oops, there I said it. Sorry, Brandon. I just think you were kind of exhausted from TNG and Voyager. And everybody tried to give some space, but it just, I think it just wore on you too much. The time barrier is anything past FDL. Well, see, that's been, if Cochrane was in 2061, that would have been 200 years by then. And the American Continent Institute mission was not that far back. So that's not that simple. Sean, I might have, and I have not had a conversation sit down with him now about, the modern work, but I want to do that. And we're connected, we're friended or whatever on whatever the hell social media is working. And I still want to do that. I have a vague memory that I did, but I need to check the years and see. There were a lot of interns coming through for their 6 weeks or their 9 weeks. And the ones I tend to remember, no, I have pictures with some. Some of them were there was a Polish guy, older than young, because you think, oh, the interns are all going to be like 22, 20. Well, some people wanting to get in the industry come in when they're 30 and 35, and they intern because they're just getting a late start, but they know that's how you get out and meet. You see it made, and you meet people, and you start making connections, especially when you come from outside LA, because if you were in LA and doing this, you probably were there when you were 22 and 25, or you had a relative or somebody that helped you get a leg in. But that's a good poke. There's a lot of things I've let slide this year of moving and distractions and keeping the bare minimums going, like the shows and the cons. And there'll be more of that. We're not settled here by any means. I mean, we're here, but we're not unpacked. But there's a lot of that stuff. I made a good run with talking to some of the newly retiring folks. Yes, they should have mentioned the time barrier in the Enterprise TV series. Maybe the ships could only hold a warp bubble for a certain amount of time before needing to be reset. Yeah. Could we go full circle on Nick Locarno and find out he's an alternate Tom Paris? Sure. You have my permission. Sean, yes. Hey, Mona, happy Kwanzaa. Are you a celebrant? That's awesome. If you are, I don't assume anything about anybody. It's like, whatever, gang, it's all good. I try not to get caught with my blinders down, I try to get caught being an assumer without conscience or consciousness of it, not without conscience, but just not being aware, not being woke about it, woke up. Becky Lynch grew up about 6 miles from where Colm Meaney grew up, but I just hope she's a new character, not a rehash of O'Brien. Well, we'll see. I hope something tells me, Akiva and Henry aren't out to emulate DS9 on their show. Ish. So, but thank you for that information. This is all. Here we are. We're all learning stuff. And you guys there on the home front in Ireland are helping us do it first. So who else better? Merry Christmas. Had to do it, of course. And kudos, if everybody hasn't gone over to here, I haven't heard it yet, but I enjoyed your clips. You would think the show called the Crusher Convo podcast, one of the aims would be to get Gates McFadden on, and you did. So congrats, Jesse, and everybody go over and pay attention. And if anybody else has a podcast, I'm happy to do a shout out to it too. I'm not trying to pick sides, but you did. You finally got, which I know was a big moment for you, and I could tell she had her comfort factor down where she enjoyed it too. You want to be a bad guy? You mean from an alternate dimension? Lieutenant Commander Argyle. Yeah, because Leland T. Lynch was kind of a jerk on TNG as was. That's cool. That's cool. I'm just kidding, because I didn't know till I suddenly realized I should know who he was. And then now we've met at Vegas a couple of times anyway, and he's sweet. Ranger Donnie, you're pretty much in league with an awful lot of other fans. You liked 1. 2 was just confusing. And 2 is the one where COVID hit and things went crazy, and Terry broke off because they decided to do 2 and 3 back to back, which not only was how affected hurrying up on 3, but it also affected 2 because they were suddenly having to divide effort and money and power and time spent. And Terry was supposed to co-show run the season 2, but he broke off to go work on 3. So good for 3, but 2 wound up being COVID affected, and just COVID was like a year-long edition of Move Along Home. Move Along Home was supposed to be a much bigger show, and part of the problem of Move Along Home, Alan Moraine jumped to 3. Part of the problem of Move Along Home is that at the very last second, budgets and whole things got cut and recut and seen down, and it just made it a little jerky worky. And that's the way I feel like season 2 happened ish. They wrote a whole other hour. Am I right? To bridge that was that season 1. The second episode wound up coming out of because the one episode ran too long and they bumped it over and wrote it more around it. Not a huge fan of the Inner Light. Sorry. Well, there's no Beverly except in the bridge, right? It's not that I'm not a fan of it. I just some people, it really moved people. I mean, really moved people. And I was like, oh, that's a cool idea. Okay. So I'm just shallow. You and me are in the shallow club, Jen. Your favorite episodes are both DS9, Far Beyond the Stars and The Pale Moonlight. But Far Beyond just shades it. Shades it in the pale light, in the pale moonlight. Okay. It sums up what Trek is to you. The hope the future will be better. Far Beyond. Okay. Yeah. Now you just love the 50s cars and the makeup. Yeah. Yeah. Brent's birthplace is Houston. Wow, Carl, your favorite Voyager is the Thaw. Well, yeah, Fear of the Clown. Okay. Well, gosh, that's difficult. See, the tragic thing about Code of Honor was apparently we need to get into this a little more on the Trek Files. Apparently it started off as it may have been a little, it was early TNG and they were having to update 20 years of writing Trek, just like they had to update it for Discovery. And it was creaky in a lot of ways. But everybody remembers Code of Honor for, the African tribal motif in the casting and the costumes. But it was really it was supposed to be a Tasha episode, getting to showcase her and dealing with a planet that they barely had prime directive contact with. Anyway, it was, if you took out, how can we critique the episode taking out if the black planet wearing tribal African colonial outfits from Hollywood in the 30s, instead, if they were all reptilian characters, and maybe they were wearing the same costumes, but they're all just reptilian, would that allow us to go back and talk about Tasha Yar in a death match with the natives king, or whatever weird little cultural interference we're judging their sexism or something? Would that have worked? That was what the thing was trying to be in the beginning. And in fact, one of the editions had the used to know the stupid planet. It was something 2. Whatever their planet is, it's the star name 2, Roman numeral 2. It's the second planet. If they'd been reptilians, how would we have come away from the story? Just think it was stupid, without it having the cringy racial component. So anyway, this is true. Someone to Watch Over Me did have heart, had a soundtrack. Hey, PM, you're here in the PM. Yes. Oh, excuse me, guys. This is not an editorial comment. I love being here with you. And I had like 7 hours sleep last night. What's wrong with me? Okay. I mentioned Kwanzaa up front, so there you go. Star Trek 4 with Chris Pine seems to be dead. They say it's not. I don't know how, in a time of turmoil corporately, that they're going to get one movie done, much less 2. And the Origins movie seems to be on the slate. And as I've said here the last 2 or 3 weeks, nobody's paying attention, but I feel good about it being a place where newbies might not ruin And now it's a sneeze. We're live. Thank you, thank you, thank you. I know what you're going to say. Um, it's got some elbow room to bump around and be clunky. Maybe I can be surprised and I'll go, oh my God, that is a seamless fit into the universe and timeline that we know. But in case it's not, we've got buffer time around it to retcon and canon smooth. So, but at the same time, the fourth movie be dead. That's not for lack of scripting, that's for sure. Suppose famously Dominic Keating went from Terry Matalas getting him coffee to asking him for work. Yeah. Be nice to those people. Yes, absolutely. Absolutely. That was Terry Matalas. That was Dave Rossi. That was a few other people in the front offices. Terry is going to wind up being, I guess, the chief example. You can meet them back on the way down. Absolutely. Well, and the thing is, if you're trying to, I mean, you can be crass about this, but if you're in that kind of contact situation, and I was just being, journalist, chronicler, I wasn't like trying to get money or a deal or sell a script. I mean, we did the one when we were invited to and came up with ideas and sold, which we just had the 40th anniversary of the sale the other day. If you saw that on my socials on Instagram, 40th, 30th. Let's not push this. 30th anniversary from 94. On the eve of all the Voyager premiere anniversaries next month. Yeah. I was saying something. Oh, yes. You don't just brush past the assistants because they're nobody. They will be somebody eventually, in many cases. But even in the moment, the assistant is somebody who can help you get in, or if you have to postpone, keep up with it. You want them to be on your side. And I always try to have actual, and not in a cheap, crass way. I always try to have, actual conversations with the assistants. And, some of them, a lot of them we've had as guests on Portal 47 over the years, especially the executive assistants. So, and there's a couple that I chase and they're like, oh no, I'm not in the biz anymore. What do you want me for? And I'm like, because you were there, especially if their boss was one of the, even if they themselves didn't go on, like Terry. I'm going to go blank. Rob. Shoot. He was Ken Biller's assistant on Voyager. Anyway, he wound up being the showrunner on the not Cumberbatch. There was Elementary and the other one. Anyway, he was the showrunner on the run of that show. I should have looked that up before I tried. Somebody will pop in with it. He was another one going. So he was selling a lot of scripts to Trek before he was gone, before Trek was over on Voyager. He was taking advantage of where he was to get better and hone. And they, they're not under, oh, you work here, we got to buy their stuff. They're not under any obligation to buy it just because one of the assistants is pitching. Absolutely. Yeah, I felt so good for you, Jesse, when you had Gates on. I've been wanting to have her come on and do something special on the Trek Files. And the day we circled back around to make a date for it was the election week. And then we had the fires and then, yada, yada. So we'll have her back on too. But I'm glad for you. Glad for you. Oh, talking about Trek podcast launches in 2025. I thought you were, when I saw your title, talking, I just assumed you were already in business. Okay, well, congrats. And I'm sure you will let everybody know. If you have a theme, here's your chance. Do you have a specific theme or type of episode or coverage that you're going to go for, or all the series, or a certain angle or aspect or something? Let us know. But good deal. What? No, no, Dave. I've got to turn that off. That's ridiculous. You emote just whatever is you. What was Walk the Prank? Was that some kind of Irish or British or foreign pirate show, pirate sitcom. That's funny. Yeah, Biff Yeager was Argyle, and blew himself up when he talked about it at a convention, and they were like, "You're not big enough to be going to conventions." It's such a. That's one I'd like to dig into sometime. Talking about Star Trek reminds you, PM, you recently left the geek community because the channel owner and a few of his members didn't treat you properly. The channel owner is someone I may know. Maybe you can certainly DM me about it if you want to. Slide into my DMs or Instagram or something. Just because I may know somebody doesn't mean we hang all the time, or I knew them in the past. Sean, I think in part Picard season 2, 3 back to back was because they're worried about Sir Patrick snuffing it. Little they know he's immortal. Well, they were, yeah. I mean, that was one of the things from day one, and nobody wanted to say that. But and it wasn't so much about Sir Patrick keeling over, but it was the fact of it was a stamina thing, and that was amazing that he had that much. He was in such good health. It was but no one knew exactly how COVID would affect things either, right? So it was just pretty much let's race the clock here. Okay, PM, there you go. You love Move Along Home, one of your favorites. Awesome. There we go. There is Bev in Inner Light, but not a fan of the gaslighting. Quark having a nervous break. Yes, that's true. So the Quark scenes with the game board are interesting, and that was supposed to be the big drama, not be overshadowed by all the other goofiness. Okay. Everybody's chiming in. You like Move Along Home. It's hardly very true. Very true. Bashir gets killed off early to be in TNG. Yeah. Yes. Doing the overlap show, the shoot on Birthright. Thaw is a great episode. Janeway outsmarts a computer is a great TS throwback, right? And they had all those costumes and all those wacky circus characters. Yes. And Michael McKean was amazing. Yeah, to pull that off. It's surreal, and they pulled it off. Yeah. You've pitched a Code of Honor reboot. They're influenced by a bad novel like The Big Goodbye or Piece of the Action. Okay. Marvin. Oh, I was going to say The Thaw was one of the times that Marvin Rush got to direct. So not just DP, but actually directed. I had one of his Fear of the Clown t-shirts till I did it in an auction a few years ago, for crew. PM, you could defend Code of Honor, but there's tendency to call you ignorant or a bigot. I think the episode had good intentions, let down because it got seen the way. That's just what I mean. This is exactly what I'm saying. And I think you could still critique the story that remained, but it was just so overshadowed by that African tribal Hollywood 30s motif. Ungawa, Bawana. Yeah, that whole thing. Rose, hi. Don't let the Nightbot get you. Oh, no, they did. It's okay, Rose. It's fine. Yes, Sean. Yeah, we should note that Dominic said that about being on the way down. Yes. Well, it's an old phrase. It's be nice to people on your way up because you never know who you'll see on the way down. Yeah, exactly. Because they're on their way up. Oh, well, not that I call her a lot, but if I might email something occasionally, I would always say Gates. Yeah. Yeah, he might. She might be spooked if anybody besides family or old New York friends called her Cheryl. You know. Well, it hasn't happened yet, but and it would be Trek Files. It'd be audio. There's a Jesse. Did you know there's an old when the first 2 or 3 years of having a blog with video was a thing? I had a lot of. I eventually got around to people, but I had not really had much interaction with Gates over the years. And when she was promoting her theaters around Burbank area, I caught her at a con and said, let's get together and do a sit down. And I did I don't know, 15, 20-minute sit down interview with her. And then we walked around her theater and she showed it off. And then we went out front. And that's on YouTube somewhere, I think. If it's not, I should post it. I have so much video that I did right before things blew from like 2012 to 2015, 16, 17. I have a ton of little one-off interviews I did with guest stars and things at signing shows. And I'm sitting on it. We need to get it out and get it out there. But obviously Gates is not one of those. But now I'm sitting there thinking, is that public? Is that out on YouTube? There we go. Very nice. Good for you, talking. Okay. Uma's great. She's so sweet. I actually got to the last Gallifrey, which is nominally Doctor Who convention, but the last Gallifrey in LA in February of 2020, the last thing I really did in public before the pandemic hit. And I met Uma and we did another Trekland type interview off my phone for 10, 15 minutes. And I think, trying to think what book had just come out. It wasn't the Janeway bio. That was a few years away still. But good for you. Good for you. Author of Asylum. There we go. Oh, the Strange New Worlds book. From 5 years ago or from recently? She had a Trek book at that time too. Okay. Well, there's a new YouTube channel called TrekTube that put out a wonderful retrospective on your favorite movie generation. It's very well edited and doesn't dump on the movie. Well, I'll check that out. I'll check that out. I didn't say that on purpose, really. Okay. Yes, give me a call. Sean, I don't know. Jesse might want to weigh in on this too, but could be. Yeah, the guest actress in it has spoken at times. Yeah. They were just literal. Yeah. Oh, good. Okay, so it is public. It's out there still and everything. Okay, good. I have frozen. I need to change the camera. No, not that. I have been frozen. Oh, come on, guys. Okay, we're going to go head on. Hey, everybody. Boom. Oh, I can't do that. So we will do this. We'll do the whole sucker. All right. Basically, what's happened. Hi. Basically, what's happened is I need not one but two new charging cords because camera went dead, phone went dead, and there went the camera. So sorry for how long I was frozen, but you heard the audio going. Okay, so now we're going to shift the window over here and do this. Anyway, glad you saw the Gates interview at her theater. Yay. Okay. Okay, Sean, if you really think Code of Honor deserves this much of a save, that's a pretty convoluted one, but sure. Sure. Yeah. Now, how long was I frozen? Good deal. So it was only for a minute or so. Yay. Okay. Good deal. Yes, we're back. We're back. Oh, good. Good, good, good. Well, are we at the end of the chat? Did I shock everybody into leaving? Did I freeze you out? Ha ha ha. Literally. Um, maybe this is a good place to have the end of the chat. Maybe, maybe. So, yes, the backup systems. Hey, everybody. I think looks like wait, what? I might enjoy your take on what? Did I miss the setup? We will see. Oh, the channel community that belongs to Director of Free Enterprise. Okay. Okay. Well, unfortunate. Sorry about that. I can't speak for anybody else or anything, but PM, you're always welcome here, and I think you see that unless people are abusive, just exactly mean for no reason, I'm up for talking about anything, as long as the other person is too, is not so shut down. I always preach about. I mean, when I was a kid, it occurred to me that I dawned on me that I didn't think about people as being liberal, conservative, or Democrat or Republican. I tended to see the world as, are you open minded or closed minded? Now, you could interpret that as the old, it was closed minded meant you were prejudiced and bigoted, or did it mean that you were stuck in your way and you thought about something a certain way, or you were like you were a fundamentalist in religion and you didn't want to see things stretched to accommodate the real world and all that, and be open-minded. Open-minded basically meant, sure, have an opinion or a concept, but be open for new information to come in, which is kind of a precursor of the way I look at being woke. Being woke means your eyes are open and you're not shut down to the world, whether that's who you accept because they're living beings, or whether that's information that may color the way you look at somebody or something. And most of all the information that's either being faked that you need to notice it's fake, or the information that you don't know at all because it's been kept from you. And the granddaddy of all is, to me, as an Okie, is the Tulsa race riots. And once a month I come across some story. Sometimes it wasn't even intentionally buried. It just got buried because, millions of things happen every day in the world. And sometimes the butterfly or the ripple effect from that 20 and 40 and 50 and 80 and 100 years later is amazing. I was just reading an incredible essay about the effect of American racism after Reconstruction fell apart, and its impact on why we don't have single-payer health care. Because Southerners didn't want to equate blacks with whites so they didn't have universal health care, because universal would have included blacks in the South. And there was a state-by-state move, and then they were able to collude. They were able to corrupt an otherwise amazing science person who was being rational. And this whole thing about some of those wacky doodle things about eugenics in the 1920s, some of the stuff that Hitler took from America, something like that, only about how some of the races that weren't white were just destined to have lower health ability. They were just intuitively, not about intelligence, or anything, but they were just always going to be more frail, and their health systems of their bodies were just racially, it was just a thing. And so it was like wasting money on them to try to expect them to have the health outcomes, like longevity and immunity to disease and all that, or immunity to genetic things they didn't even fully understand at the time, cancer or whatever, things that presented. And it was just like, wow. And in all earnestness, this guy was kind of like the face, and came out and said, then it turns out that he worked for the Prudential Life Insurance Company, who at the time did more medical health. And it was just amazing. It's just stuff you didn't know. And sometimes it's just been buried because it's just been 150 years. But if somebody buried it 100 years ago, then how are you going to find it now, kind of thing. Anyway, that's what I mean by always be on the lookout, be awake for those kinds of things. There you go. Yeah, people think black white binary choices, and we don't have that parliamentary, that playing with the marbles, not the marbles, but that things could be a juggle of two or three or four things. People here are, it's been interesting with the effect of social media and some of this, but the last 10 years, the computer world, world of thinking and things. But when you say binary choice, yes, people are constantly, just stupid political memes, whether it's rubles or paying for it or not. And it's like, do you do this or this? And, it's kind of like, why can't we do both? Like all the false choiceism, there's the what aboutism, oh, this, well, what about that? It's like, well, they're not the same. The flip side of that is, why do we have to make a choice? Why can't we have both? We have plenty of money, time, ability, think tankism. We make that the priority, but you trap people into thinking one or the other, and it's like, why no? Why, or picking one about the other? They're both good, but one's gooder. It's like, no, it's not. But they're both fine, and we can do both. We might put more emphasis on one than the other, but we don't have to make this black and white, eternal life or death choice over the options. But thank you for poking me that I had froze. I noticed it myself. Oh, okay. There you go. Okay. Well, PM, I'm just going to say sorry that you had a bad experience, and but you're always welcome here. I will just say that. Rose, it was great to see you, and I'm glad I got to answer you on Instagram. I think you asked me, and oh, that's right, about doing a tour. Yeah, it just was just not. Yeah, this wasn't going to happen this time. Politics is about picking the least worst option, never about picking the best one. Occasionally you get to pick the best option. Yeah, that's true. That's true. Okay, guys. Well, this has been a very interesting AMA. So glad so many folks got to come by. We've been at it, a little bit about an hour and a half. So maybe this is just a good time as any to take a breather, but also to say, hey, today it's a gorgeous day here in SoCal. I'm still looking at that count. I got to stop looking at my phone. Hey, it's a beautiful day in SoCal. Just to say, if you've ever thought about taking a Trekland Treks, there. It is a beautiful day in SoCal. And if you've ever thought about taking a Trekland Treks, visiting some location, there's nothing about seeing outdoor Star Trek come to life. I'll just say that. No, it's not stage sets, but there's over 50 places in Greater SoCal. Some of them are like the Picard, the latest Picard Villa is about 2 hours 15 north of LA. That's something. Some of the other Picard Villa, the one from not family, All Good Things, well, the vineyards anyway, are about 30 minutes south of me right now, which is an hour and a half out of LA. So big spread. It's a great idea. TreklandTreks.com. If you have some time, you have your free time coming to LA, get a hold of me. We'd love to set something up. and do a Trekland trek with you, your own customized away mission. 4 sites in one day by the basic template, depending what you want to do. Which brings me to people doing what they want to do. Thank you so much. This is for December 1st. I have to update for January, which means that as I thank everybody on our Patreon, thank you so much. Picking up a couple of new ones every month as people cycle through. That's awesome. So I'm just going to say on our TTLers, yes, thank you so much, Chuck A. and James Kerwin, Diana Hopkins, Jesse Crusher Convo, who's actually just bumped up to being a live wire. Thank you, Jesse. Lawrence Todd, Hal, Glinda Bruton, Andrew Dzimski, Mitch Keith, Josh Patton, Pranakasha Productions. You can read them. Chris Jiggins, Keith Rombach, and Comedy Forecast. Missed some of the folks today, but people are traveling for the holidays and all that. But thank you all for being here. And then, yes, our live wires, who I owe probably close to a year's worth of access to our Portal 47 interviews with guests from the early days of Portal, which has now been 6-8 years ago. Greg Wickstrom, Rob McLean, Byron Bailey, J.R. Poole, Gary Williams, James Durbridge. Why do I stumble on you, James? I didn't do that in the beginning. James Durvidge, Dave Gregory, Dan Leckie, and Casey Shafsky. Thanks so much, everybody. You know, it's very easy to be on the Patreon. It's patreon.com/Trekland Live. In fact, I'll even say, if you have a Patreon app, don't use it for me because they'll tack on an Apple Store fee. If you're an Android, I don't think it does. But if you're on Mac and you're doing the Mac Store for apps, don't. Don't for me, anyway. Patreon.com/Trekland Live, $5 or $10 a month for the shout out and my thanks for your support. I'm not even Bartles and James, if you remember. Hey, this is where I usually say thank you, and don't forget there's a new Trek Files up today, except we're on hiatus between season 12 and season 13. We've now decided season 13 will be back January 7th. So for right now, we're in hiatus time, but it's perfect time to visit our new home site. The old Facebook page is still there. It'd be great if you were there too, but our new home site is at thetrekfiles.com, which is a memory alpha page. They're now all scrollable, all 12 years. There's 24 episodes a season, but they're like 15, 20 minutes long for the most part. Wonderful guests, real world guests talking about real world issues and documents and things out of Gene's archives. thetrekfiles.com, wherever podcasts are. But if you want the document of the week, check out thetrekfiles.com. We will be back January 7th, and we'll have some fresh news to go with that too. 2025 is going to be something else. And of course, all the socials, I need to update this too. This is so old. Hey, find me on Blue Sky if you haven't done that yet. I'm still on Twitter. And of course, YouTube, like and subscribe here if you haven't done that yet. It's Larry Nemechek's Trekland on YouTube and Facebook and Instagram. Instagram's fun. Portal47.net is there. You can read about Portal47.net, but this is where, and I should have said this earlier, we've got our holiday gift offer going. Yes. It's Portal in a box, so you can give it to a friend, and it's physical because digital gifts are so vaporware, you know. But hey, you can get Gene's last holiday gift card, as well as 6 months of Portal for 5 months, and the member pin, and some Portal and Dr. Trek swag. You can give it. It all comes in one box. It's easy to do, and of course, you can give it to yourself too. It's awesome. Just go to LarryNemechek.com. Find your way there. It's also LarryNemechek.com/Holly, HOLI 24. Boom. It's easy to do. But hurry, the end of this week is the deadline for getting things mailed out. Friday is the day for me to do Saturday mailing and get it to you by the 24th if it's for. I can send direct to the giftee, or we can get it to you. Either way. I've not been pushing my gift offer this year much because I've just been so busy elsewhere, but it's there. Thanks for everybody who jumps in, whether you're getting it for a friend or you're coming in yourself. Folks took advantage of the Cyber Monday offer this year, which was awesome too. So thanks, everybody. Here we are. Here we are. Crazy time pre-holidays. I won't be back until Monday the 30th. So special Monday show, skipping Christmas week. New Year's week will be here, but it'll be on a Monday. Same time, same warp time, same warp channel. But so glad for all of you. Thank you all for the super chat contributions. I think that was May and Sean. Thanks so much. We will see you later on. Everybody have a great week. Stay safe out there. Do all the things and pay attention to the traffic too. And yeah, stay woke. Check the sources.